Okay, second portion of the lecture, we're trying to collect some statistics. For example, we want to calculate how many patients got produced each day, um, and also how long it take a patient to go from start to the door until how much time they spend before seeing a doctor. And also another important index is how long the patient actually stay in the whole system. And also, just for the sake of a homework related problem, we're trying to see how fast uh, it takes to produce see a patient on the bed server. So we're going to do these four objectives in this short lecture, and let's let's see how we're going to do this. First, we're going to go to the definition and create some tally elements. Statistic. I'm going to create 3 for now, and the first one we're going to call it door to dock time. So the first one we're trying to see is how long it takes from when the patient got into the door until he sees the doctor. So this time is actually a time unit, and category I'm going to call it tally, and the data item is supposed to be door to dock. Okay. Sorry, this one is supposed to be tally, and data item supposed to be door to dock. And the second one we're trying to do is a so-called length of stay. How long it takes patient to stay in the hospital again. So this is a length of stay portion. It's also time. And the third one is actually the cycle time for the emergency room, how fast they can produce one. The same thing, that's a time unit is another tally elements, and so called cycle time. So it all happens right here, and right now is in the server bed. So the first one we're going to do is trying to create a before processing. So instead of seizing the doctor using secondary resource, I want to exactly know when I seize a doctor. So before I start processing, after I seize the bed, I want to create a processing. So first I'm going to seize the doctor. I'm going to seize the doctor that way. It's similar to from the before, it's just doing in here called the add-on process. So I know exactly where I seize the doctor. Then the moment I seize the doctor, I want to calculate how long the time is going to be. So I'm going to tally door to dock time, and choosing a door to dock time tally using expression portion. Okay, and the value is going to be the current simulation time minus minus the time the model entity was created. Oops, sorry, it's called wrong time now. So the current simulation time minus the time model the model entity was created, and that's a tally for door to dock. And also after the patient was processed, so-called after processing right here, I want to create. So first I want to release the doctor, and second I want to see how what is the cycle time for this particular server. So I'm going to double click, create another after processing. So here we have a server bed before processing, and also I have server bed after processing process. So I'm going to release the dock. Release the doctor. And I'm going to do a tally right here. And this time, instead of using the door-to-door, I'm using cycle time. And also, instead of using expression, I'm using time between. That's all there is to it. So the time between tally basically calculate the two consecutive entities passing through this logic, which means how long it takes to produce the next product. Or here is the next patient. Take care of the next patient. So we're done with this. So let's run real quick, see how the results showed up. It's done. Look at the result. And then you notice in the model section, we have two tallies right now. One called the door-to-dock, one called the cycle time. They have their so-called average, max, number of observations. So total 82 patients go to door-to-dock, and total 79 of them going through the cycle time. All right. Yes, total cycle time portion. So we see that it's about 1/3 of an hour, 30.3 hours for each patient to be taken care of. The half hour we can take care of each patient. Has about 2/3 of hours, and to for a patient to moving from the door to seeing a doctor. So it's about 40 minutes range. So additional, I want to do a few more. Come back here, look at the sync portion. The sync portion, I want to calculate two things. First, how many actually passing through the sync, and also how many how long the patient stay in the system from the source to the sink. So to do that, I'm creating a stay variable, integer, and we call up patient count. Okay, how many patients? And initially this is 0. So here in the sync, I'm going to also using an add-on process. So when it destroy entity, I want to calculate two things. I'm going to create new and come back here on the sync destroy entity. First, I'm trying to do is doing a assign process. Okay, assign process is fairly simple. I'm choosing the patient count. Equals to patient count plus 1. So I'm incrementing this patient count by 1. Okay, so we call it update counter. And then I'm going to using a tally to calculate length of stay. How long the patient stay in the system. Tally length of stay, example. And I'm going to use length of stay tally using expression similar to before. Run T now minus model entity got created when the model entity was created. So we have those two. And one of the things I want to mention is, in order to report this, if you run this, it will not report the patient count unless you put it on screen. So we can put it on screen as well. Sorry. I'm just going to do an animation right here. And the expression is patient count. Object. So if I run it, you will see these two numbers actually match. So the counters actually match. Alright, so this number actually represents how many patients got destroyed over here. Let's take a look how we can output this. Since I'm going to run it for about 90 days and I want to put it out, so how are we going to do that? Okay, so I cannot use this process. So here I'm going to define another element called output statistic, called patient scene. Okay, just a different name, a unit type, expression. I'm just going to use patient count right here. And so we can see that, going fast forward, see the result, and I see the length of stay, okay, and patient seen is 80, and door-to-dock time, cycle time. So far we be able to show you how to collect some of the statistics. Some of them are in the tally section, some of them are the patient count, and I'm using so-called output elements to attach the patient count into a statistic portion. So it gives you a final summarized, custom-made report over here. So for example, I want to see, let's do this. Throughput. Okay. Want to make it more. So based on throughput patient count, and I see how many of them at the end of the simulation. Total 80 of them got processed, 82 coming in, and I processed 82. So you have 2 in the system so far, and you see that happening with all the door-to-dock time, cycle time, length of stay, and so on and so forth. All right. Next, I'm going to show how to basically running this for 80 days, 90 days, for example, 30 days, for example, and I'll put this number so we can see how each day the patient got processed. So here I'm going to define a new experiment, okay, and instead of running, I'm going to run it for 30 iterations for scenario 1. I'm going to start running it. So they're finished. Okay, so 30 replication represent 30 days. I'm going to see the grid. You see the model, cycle time, door-to-dock, and length of stay, patient seen. They give you a so-called average value, minimum value, maximum value, and half worth of the confidence interval. But all I want is individual number. So, and also I prefer to have it in prefer to have it in a detail format and a print out format. So here I'm going to export detail. I'm going to export it to so-called model experiment 1 and detail. I'm going to put it on desktop. Save. And it will show it up in this entirely Excel format. Okay. So here I'm trying to see the object title is models, and I'm going to go through the cycle time. You see that I have 30 replication of cycle time. Okay. 30 replication of cycle time. I'm sorry. And 30 replication of door-to-dock time. And going through, and so stay, keep going. Okay, patient count. So here I have all the 30 days, how many patients got produced that 30-day period. So these numbers are the one you want for our homework, for example. So this concludes this short lecture, and we show you how to do a more efficient, more effective way, and in the next short lecture. Okay.